On this short video, I want to share with you the key step-by-step process you can use to plan, prepare and conduct a really effective, challenging conversation. The sort of conversation you're going to have with people who are going to be worried about, have they got a job, what happens if I stay at home, what happens to my holiday, what happens to my sick pay, all those difficult conversations that we're going to have. Maybe we need to make some people redundant, maybe we need to refocus, maybe we need to actually get them to be doing different jobs than perhaps they are doing now. So tough times ahead and tough conversations. So this pragmatic tool that we've been teaching for a long time now is a really great way to be able to own the process of getting some really good outcomes. One of the key concepts, of course, and linked into the previous learning, is the fact that we don't want to actually present the issue and then the solution. What we want to do is to be able to build the solution with them as we go through the process. So let's get stuck into it. I've got the flip chart behind me, and what I'll do is build the process and show you how I go through having a challenging conversation with one of my team. So the first thing to think about is yourself, and to think about what state you're in. You don't want to be having a courageous conversation if you're stressed, if you're overwhelmed, if you're really stressed, you're emotional. So it's really important, I find, a tip I would give you would be to get a bit of paper or your laptop or your tablet or your phone and just write down how you actually want to really say it. You know, you can swear in that bit if you like, so no one's going to see it. So just write it down. So step one I would recommend is get yourself in the right state. And the tip for there is to actually just write it down. Write down how you'd want to say it, regardless of the impact you're going to have on the other person. So this is your offload moment, because what we want to do is offload your emotion and get into what we call the logical state, a flow state of your mind. So that's stage one. And the idea would be you write that down and then perhaps leave it for a while or even overnight, and then come back the next day or in a few hours time and have a look at what you've written there. And what you want to do then is think about, okay, well, number two is how do I actually create an effective plan? And the key thing for that is around empathy. So have a look at what you've written down. Have a look at this concept here. Have a look at all the words that you've written down on your piece of paper or on your laptop, and think about what's the key message? What is the conversation I need to have? What is the issue, the problem, the opportunity that I'm going to discuss with this person? And then think about where would they be? What's going on in their mind? What sort of person are they? If you've done the colours and the insights, then what sort of, are they cool blue? Are they fiery red? Where are they in that mindset? What drives them? What's their values? What's their concerns? You know, what's their family life? All those sort of things, and just really think it through and use some of the tools that I've shared with you before to gather information and thoughts around who they are and where they're at and what's going to trigger them and what are their pains and what's their aspirations and how is this going to land on them. So this bit here really is the concept of this is to seek first to understand before you start having that conversation. So once we've got the empathy in place and we've looked at the data and information, we then start to plan how we're going to have this conversation. Now, key reminder, and I'll keep saying this for the video, is don't come up with a solution. This is not about coming up with the solution for them. This is about planning the process that you're going to go through. So let me share with you what that actual process is. So we've done our offload, we've got a plan in place, and we've done some empathy, we understand where they're coming from. So the actual step three really is, how am I going to present the issue in a really concise and clear way? So my tip there, if you can, is to try and get down your statement down to one sentence. How can I present that in a very clear way that they get it straight away? Now, of course, when we present that, they're going to go into shock mode and survival mode, and they're going to go very emotional. So what we need then is to think about number four is, what data do I have that backs up this issue, that shows it's not a subjective thing, this is a objective situation. So think about the information, the data, the facts and figures that you have that show that this is a real issue. So part of the preparation up here is, of course, what's the statement going to be? What data am I going to use? And then get that all ready and get that prepared, because the next two part of the processes are really about conversation and building a solution together. So once I've done that preparation, I've thought about them, I've used some of the tools that we have at our disposal, I've got a really clear way of presenting that information in a concise way. I like to say there's no wriggle room, so I don't know if that translates, but what that means is that it's not subjective, it's not wishy-washy, it's actually hard facts, it's clear, and there's some rationale behind it. Okay, so that's the first sort of part. So when we actually have the conversation, well, obviously we set up the conversation, we make sure that we get the environment right. So if we're doing it virtually, which we probably are going to be these days, is that you want to make sure that you get them in the right frame of mind as well. So make sure they're set up properly. They haven't got the kids running around at home, or they're not being distracted or whatever. So we've got some good time booked in. They've got their setup right. You've got your setup right, and you can actually go into that conversation. So the conversation will probably start with how you're feeling, what's going on, what you're doing. So a bit of empathy there. And then you want to get quite quickly into stating the issue. So this bit that you prepared here. So what is the issue? And then you present the information, you present the data and facts. Okay, that makes sense so far? So we've got the issue, we've got the data across now. Just think about where they're going to go in their mindsets. They're going to get quite emotional. They're going to get worried. They're going to get loads of adrenaline and cortisol in their body. And their brain, their thinking part of their brain is actually going to switch off. So there's no point trying to build a solution yet. What we have to do is, when someone's really emotional, the only thing we can actually do is actually treat that with empathy. So number 5 of our process is to think about what question am I going to ask, or what questions am I going to ask to actually trigger that engagement, allow them the opportunity to have that dialogue and discussion with you to offload their emotion. So it can be as simple as, so what does that mean for you? Or how do you feel about that? Or very simple open questions that starts to get them thinking about it, or what will be the impact of that, or what will happen if we don't change? All those sort of type questions that gets them thinking. You have that dialogue and discussion, and this is where you have to be really present. You have to really listen, no distractions, really focused on them, watching the body language, what's going on in emotion, what's going on in their minds, what's going on in their hearts and their guts, and what are the things, what they say really saying to you. So really tune into them, hold state, and think about what they're actually saying. Allow them a time to offload. So that dialogue and discussion will get to a point where their chemistry, you'll see the chemistry start to change, they'll start to calm down, their breathing will change, they'll start to get into a more relaxed state. And this is where you can then start to switch into the last stage, which is probably the most important part of the whole process, number 6, which is all about building the solution together. So building the solution together. And this is the crux of it. This is the secret, if you like, of this whole process. So all the stuff we've done so far is leading to this one little bit, which is, if you actually include people, you're more likely to get commitment. If you go there with an issue and a solution, they're going to resist it. And they might say yes in a meeting, but then go away, and all sorts of things will happen. So this is the trick. This is the key thing, is that you then work out and have a conversation together and a discussion around what are the sort of things you can do. So maybe it is that you have to make people redundant. So maybe you start to work out what the next steps are and how you can support them, enable them to get another job. Or it might be that you want to protect them and want to keep them. You spend a lot of time with them. So how do I now work with them to make sure that even though they're at home, they still feel part of the team, they're still engaged, they're doing some projects for us, they're still doing some contribution stuff, and we actually don't lose them. And of course that will be different depending on the sort of person. Maybe in terms of insights, they're a cool blue, so very risk averse. They've got family, they've got kids, they've got mortgages, they've got lots of commitments, they've got cars, all that sort of stuff to pay for. And maybe you would approach that building solution together differently based on their needs and their values about, how do we remove the risk for them? How do we actually put a plan in place? And maybe giving a bit more time for reflection and thinking through. And remember, at this stage, we're not trying to create a massive plan here. Maybe it's just the first step that we're going to go on, and we agree some first steps, and then we get together again, review, and then the next step. So in a foggy situation, an agile step-by-step approach, of course, is a good way to go. You might have someone else who maybe, I don't know, is Sunshine Yellow, for example, who's very enthusiastic and wants to be liked and is saying yes to everything and is running around, all that sort of stuff. And maybe you would actually have a conversation with them in a different way. So thinking that through. So maybe the solutions you have for these people will be different based on the purpose and their values. But the key thing, of course, is the process is the same regardless of the person you're actually dealing with. And this is around getting that mindset is, I'm not someone here to give you a solution. I'm here to actually guide you through a process so we both come up with a really effective solution. So once we've got this solution, we've built this solution together, number 7, again, is really important, is to agree what's going to be the follow-up. How do you make sure that we keep the momentum going? And I said, it might be the first step, it might be a number of steps, it might be that you need to go and get some information for them, it might be you need to send some stuff, but get a meeting in the diary, on your virtual network, on Teams or whatever it is that you're using, to make sure that they've had that sort of initial courageous and challenging conversation. Of course, they're going to go and reflect and share that with their partner and their loved ones. So you want to be getting in there quite quick after they've had that conversation to follow up and check in with them to see how they're feeling and make sure on reflection whether those actions are the right things to do. So there you have it. There's the process. There's the tool to have a challenging conversation. So understand yourself, get yourself in the right frame, make sure that you plan effectively and you use empathy and understand where they're coming from. Make sure that you can state the issue and you can back up that issue with some really clear data. Make sure that you have a number of questions you can use to have a conversation and a dialogue with them to offload their emotion and to satisfy their needs. And then once the logic's back on, make sure that we build the solution together and then we follow up effectively and appropriately to make sure that we take action and move forward. What that will do for you, of course, is to give you a simple step-by-step guide, a simple process for you to go out and have a look at it. There are opportunities to put comments on the website as well, so it'd be great to find out how you're using these techniques and tools and what difference they're making, and make sure that you actually go out there, connect with them, and have a go at them, and get them as part of your way of working. Remember, one size doesn't fit all. The process is the same, but it's the people you're going to have the conversation with that will be different. And of course, we've talked about one-person situations. It might be that you're doing this with a team as well, and with Microsoft Teams, for example, you can do that virtually quite effectively as well. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you get on and give it a go. Have the courage to apply it. Go out there and actually let's lead from the front. Let's make a difference and let's be strong and let's fight this together.